The year 2020 has tested the entire world, and JDC is no exception. But even in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, our life-saving work in 70 countries continues, uninterrupted. I want to take you on a global tour of your impact, and for that, let's turn to my colleague, Alex Weisler.
My name's Alex Weisler, and I've worked for JDC for over 7 years. I've always been proud to work here, but since the pandemic began, that has shifted into something else entirely. Proud is an understatement. Today, I want to give you an update on our work around the world, in 70 countries, 17 time zones, and show you how, despite everything going on, it has not skipped a beat. Let's start in the former Soviet Union, where JDC cares for over 80,000 elderly Jews, many of them Holocaust survivors. Now, when all this started, we very quickly realized we would need to adapt our policies and procedures to ensure that our clients and the people who care for them were kept as safe as possible. That's meant distributing over 5.9 million pieces of PPE, or personal protective equipment, masks and gloves and sanitizers and robes, and in some cases it's meant arranging private transportation to ensure that our home care workers can safely make their way to the clients who depend on them, even if government restrictions mean that a city's bus system or subway system is shut down. We've also activated our volunteer networks. Our call centers across the former Soviet Union have placed over 20,000 calls to the loneliest and most isolated elderly clients. For the people we serve, service has continued uninterrupted, and in the middle of everything going on, I think that's pretty extraordinary. Of course, JDC isn't only there to provide for people's physical needs. We're also there to guarantee they can connect Jewishly as well. In any given year, some 84,000 people around the world connect with JDC's network of Jewish community centers, leadership training programs, summer camps like Sarvaj. And it's been amazing to watch how those initiatives have adapted to the current moment. Everything from a weekly Zoom challah baking session in Warsaw to virtual giving circles and book clubs, cooking classes, trips, mindfulness sessions from our JDC Entwine and Junction platforms. In the former Soviet Union, we had a massive, groundbreaking online Shabbat where 850 different people signed into Zoom, people from 90 cities and 10 countries. I might be biased, but it was magical. Cultivating a Jewish future might look a little different these days, but it is still JDC's steadfast commitment. Now let's turn to Israel, where over 1 million people benefit from programs developed by JDC. During the pandemic, we've had to move those programs online. Everything from remote rehabilitation for folks recovering from surgery or illness to Hebrew language lessons for Israeli Arab job seekers. We've also distributed over 50,000 activity kits to the most vulnerable youth and families, and developed socially distant ways to alleviate loneliness for Israelis with disabilities and the most isolated elderly. I'm particularly proud of the fact that the Israeli government has turned to JDC, to pilot a new upskilling model to help get tens of thousands of Israelis to survive this crisis and get back to work. Even the startup nation needs a push sometimes, and JDC is there for Israel, just like we've been since day one. We're also helping Jewish families meet the economic realities and challenges of this moment. People who, a month or two before all this began, might have been paying JCC dues or day school tuition, and now find themselves struggling to make ends meet in countries like Italy and Greece, Bulgaria, Morocco, Argentina. Our Emergency Humanitarian Relief Fund, combined with other initiatives, offers financial assistance so that they can cover rent, pay for groceries, see their way to the other side of this with a sense of security and safety and hopefully a bit of a deep breath. In times of disaster and emergency, the global Jewish community can count on JDC to respond. And that's exactly what we've done here. Propelled by our Jewish values, we're working with non-Jewish communities in countries like Ethiopia, India, Indonesia, helping them survive the pandemic. I want you to hold on to the number 11,000. That's about how many people in India have received ration and hygiene kits thanks to JDC and our partners. And that's about how many people in Ethiopia now have access to clean water thanks to hand washing stations that JDC and our partners have established in some of that country's most remote corners. All told, our non-sectarian efforts have impacted about 190,000 people worldwide. I said before that I'm proud of JDC's response. And I really am, but I'm not surprised. After all, this is the same JDC that rebuilt a shattered Europe after the Holocaust through the displaced persons camps. The same JDC that was there on day one of the State of Israel, helping to establish a social safety net. The same JDC that, since our founding in 1914, has rescued over 1 million Jews in danger from places like Sarajevo, Yemen, Eastern Ukraine. This is what we do. Even in the darkest days, we rise to the occasion, and we do it in partnership with you, our supporters. So I want to say thank you. Important work is happening all around the world, every day. You are a huge and essential piece of it, and we are very grateful.